Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you, as always, for finding me and for tuning in. It's a rainy morning here in Perth. We are in the midst of a wet season. So why not sit down with a cup of tea and do a video talking about the sun in astrology. So I'm not going to go into a big spiel, but I am going to say that at the moment I am offering 25% off my 30-minute readings. So that can be a booked phone call with me, just discussing anything that you would like to talk about spiritually, asking me questions and looking at your chart, or it could just be a 30-minute recorded reading that I conduct on your chart and send to you. So thank you to everyone that has purchased one, that is thinking of getting one. Please go ahead and place your order on my website. So today I am continuing my series, explaining to anyone that cares to, be interested in this in this kind of thing, is that I'm looking at all of the planets and all of the correlations to the human form, to the human body, and the astrological world. So if that's something that you're interested in, please go back and have a look. I have covered some other planets, and today, yes, we're looking at Sol, S-O-L, the sun. So I want to go a bit deeper than just me kind of going, like the sun, that's not really going to help you, and that's not really interesting. You know that the sun, if you know anything about astrology, it's the thing that everyone else mostly knows astrology for. The most commonly asked question is always, what is your star sign? And they'll always say the sun. Okay, so most people would just know that there's just astrology 101, and you're a, Aries, and that's what you are, and that's kind of all you are. But when you go deeper into astrological meanings, and you get into a deeper awareness of astrology and the traditions and all of the mysteries, I guess you could say, behind this knowledge, you'll start to understand that the human form and everything in the cosmology of a human is all actually like the planets are kind of inside you on different levels. So yes, in an astrology sense, back in the day before we had technology, people had to actually work this out mathematically and to attain that knowledge. So this is something that people would know as research-based astrology, evidence-based astrology. And we know that in the modern context, this can really freak a lot of people out. That's why a lot of people definitely stay away from people like me, because what's going to happen is when an astrologer, a good astrologer, starts to unpack your chart and all of the themes and all of those planetary things, all of this is going to start to make a bigger scope of sense, which can really baffle a very logical thinking person, like a scientist. And I've always said that science is only the measurement of something that a human can create with a human, tool or form. When we look at the soul and we look at the world and the planet and the forces behind things, we have to understand that we are an aspect of something that a human isn't really, I would say, meant to comprehend. So that's why I see astrology as the study of God, in a way. Okay, so that's why when people come to me and they book a reading, ultimately what I'm giving you is a blueprint of you, the blueprint of your soul and the path that you're here for. So that's what you're getting. And a lot of people would never want to hear that or see that, but we have to understand that determinism versus free will is playing out every day, and it's playing out through you. Okay, so determinism is a preset determined thing that you have to live out that you've agreed to when you incarnated into this realm, I guess you could say. And that's what I'm looking at when I look at your chart, okay? All right, so I hope that made sense. But for the purpose of this video, looking at the sun in astrology is the vessel that holds you. All right. So think of it, the best way to think of it, this is like, I just word it this way to my clients all the time. Your sun is the physical projection of what others see out in the world of you. It's not necessarily what you see of you. That's more of your internal receptive nature. That's your moon. And the moon is the subconscious. It's the feminine inner world. But the sun is your outer world. So depending on what sign that's your sun signs in, depending on, this is where it gets complex. So hear this out, right? So this is going to be controversial, but I'm just going to word it this way because I'd rather you just understand this. The level of depth and impact you have in the world is directly whether that's positive or negative, is directly connected to your level of depth and self-comprehension. All right, so I want to make that clear. So what I'm saying is, if you can read between the lines, that someone that is very lacking in self-awareness and inner reflection and critical thinking and doesn't have what I call a feedback loop, they will mostly operate from their sun sign. So all of the other planetary aspects like their Mercury, how they think, their rising, how they see the world, the lens that they see things through, especially their moon, their inner emotion aspect to themselves. If it's a person that's a narcissist or a person that is on the Machiavellian scale of psychopathy or on that level of like being a psychopath, or just any person that isn't evolved, that can't get past their own sense of self, their arrogance, that is all the sun sign. So in today's world, given that all of the levels of indoctrination and is through school and through the system, and I've talked about this at great length here on my channel, if you can go back and revisit some of my videos, you'll see that modern day spirituality has been reduced to nothing more than entertainment. Okay, so what I'm saying is that if you are in a modern world and you've never seen what came before you and you don't have the tools to access your higher self, then you probably at this point never will. And then you will be operating purely from a physical world. And a physical world is the sun. It's the vessel. So a lot of people that reduce themselves to archetypes and then project that out into the world, like being pretty, being very focused on, a lot of American culture operates in the sun sign. It's all like, hello, welcome to my channel. Hello, it's me. Hello, I'm perfect. Like they put on a character. You will see this a lot with people that are very spiritually unevolved. They take a character of the external world, which is usually based in the aspect of their sun, and then they just live in that character and they build a world around that. Okay, I have mentioned this before. So although, yes, of course, there's so many different aspects to someone's chart, if they are not evolved, they will be operating from the NPC mode, which will just be Maya. It's the material world. So a lot of people these days are not connected to themselves, and therefore how they project outwards to the world on a positive or negative level will be directly proportionate to that. All right. I know many astrologers won't, I hope that made sense. Like if you understood what I just said, then you'll understand how serious that is and how scary that is. But I'd rather you leave a comment below. Let me know that you got it. Just say, got it. I understand. Because my Chiron sits in Gemini and it's like, I'm trying to explain stuff that's really obvious to me. It's obvious to me. And then people are like, what? So like a Valley girl, like what? I'm a Capricorn, you know what I mean? So we have to go deep, and that's what you're here for. Okay, so I hope that I want to put that on the table before I get into contextualizing what is the aspect and approach we should take when we look at a sun sign. All right, so the sun sign is the first aspect of a human that comes into the world. And so we see that, through the earlier study of astrology, through the Greco-Roman astrologers and how they were looking at all of the planets and understanding light and understanding that the sun is the thing that illuminates. So when you look up at the sky, the sun gives light to everything. Without the sun, you would see nothing. You would be in complete darkness. So it's the physical body of a boat, like the hull, the rig, the windows in a boat, if it's a boat that has levels, and then that it's the physicality of the thing that holds everything else in it. So inside the boat, you'll have Mercury, you'll have Venus, you'll have all of the other planets, and the sun is the thing that holds it and goes out into the world. Okay, so that's mostly what people see. So this is where it gets complicated, right? And I'm going to just simplify it. So depending on what sign your sun sits in, depending on where your moon and your rising sit, and where everything is in position and all of the degrees of things, all have and has a very strong effect on you. All right, so if you've got, say, a double up or a stellium, as we call it in astrology, where you've got multiple planets that sit in the same sign type of thing, it will amplify your sun sign, particularly if it's a Leo or an Aries. And there's a lot of first house placement around that. It will be very strong. You will be looking at a person that is very physical, someone that's very kind of dominating. Their personality is very loud and fiery. And also intelligence comes into the sun as well. Remember, the Luciferic consciousness is also connected to light as a light bringer. But Luciferic consciousness is light and knowledge without love, which makes it just dangerous because it can be tweaked and manipulated in ways that can fuck people up, which I will talk about in another video, perhaps. All right. So in cosmology and in nature, we all need the sun, the divine holy light. So when you look at the sun or drawings of the sun, you'll understand that this is not a planet, it is a star. And that star emits rays of energies, of light. And that light that you'll see kind of coming out of it is very much about the beams of life. Without the light, we can't have anything. Without the sun positioned where it is, it holds everything in our galaxy or in our solar system together. Everything moves around it. It's the center point of everything. Now, the sun is the only star, or some would say, planet. It's the only thing out there that doesn't move. It moves, but it doesn't have a retrograde like everything else does. But it does have cycles. I will mention that maybe later as well. The sun does have cycles. So when we think of the sun, and it's been depicted through many different religions and many different spiritual systems, whether it's India or very traditional like Catholicism, you will see a male form that's connected to a deity, where you'll see it's usually depicted with a mountain that's always in the east or facing the east, and you'll see flames coming out of the head or the crown. And so you'll see this very particularly in some of the Greek mythology around Apollo. And you'll also see that the shards of light that you'll see in a halo form, which is also represented by Jesus. Jesus of Nazareth was connected to the sun, the light bringer. Okay, so it is attached to the image, and in a lot of depictions of light that it generates from its own self. All right, so the sun doesn't need other things. The sun is. It doesn't need other things to influence it. It influences everything else, and it generates warmth. And without the sun, we wouldn't have plants, we wouldn't have growth, nothing would survive. So the sun is actually the most important, one of the most important factors in nature and in the divine. And the sun is one of the most important aspects of knowing the self, knowing the inner God, inner perception. So it is connected to the body because it is the physical form of the body, but it is about love. The sun is about warmth and generosity. And you'll see that in the depiction of the most depictions in the tarot. You'll see the sun sign is the mirror of the moon. And the moon has no light of its own. It's only illuminated by the sun. So the sun is about rejoicing, and the sun is also about truth. That's why a lot of religious teachings are all around the sun burning away darkness and showing you what is really there. So that's when people say like shining a light on something, what they're referring to is where, and some people would even say, I've had people write in and say, why do you talk about such dark stuff? And I'm not talking about anything dark. I'm shining a light on what is there. So some people, they have a false sense of light. You'll see that in a lot of very sick, woke culture, where it is Luciferic consciousness, where it's a false light, where it's like empathy and entropy disguised as a victim to regain control. So there is a lot of forms of manipulation of truth in the modern world that we see now, where people use that to gain power, but it's false. It's a false light. It's very important to understand the difference, especially these days. If you don't understand what I said, maybe I will do a video talking about that in another topic and explaining that, but I hope that made sense. So truth is the highest form of love, all right? So anything that disguises truth, masks it, manipulates it, is an act of or against God or against the universe's natural state. And that's why I've always said, and I did a video a couple of days ago talking about human nature. It's very important that we just accept each other as we are rather than fight or try to change our form, because you cannot fight biology because biology is nature. Okay, so I hope that made sense. And the physical body is connected to the sun. It's also connected to the ninth house. And it's also connected to the fifth house in astrology, which is ruled by Leo, and Leo rules the sun. Okay, so when you hear people say, I had this illuminated idea, I got this light bulb moment, that's all sun energy. It's a result of enlightenment, like enlightening yourself from a number or a thought form or a language or an idea that you didn't have. So the sun deals in expression. It's how you express yourself. Yeah. Okay, so it's about being visible. It's about being seen. I've always said, and in my own life with people and with my clients, when you hold the secret and you're being very secretive and you're holding something inside of you, it's very bad for you, and it will start to eat you up from the inside and really kill you. So it's better that you just bring everything out into the light and into the sun, even the darkest, most vilest parts of yourself, to be seen, to be exposed. Yeah, that's why when people come out, they're coming out about who they are to the world. They're presenting their true self that they were the whole time. That's all like sun energy. All right, so I hope that made sense. So with the sun sign, I did mention before, we have things called, when a sign is accelerated, it is meaning that it's landing on the first house or in the first sign, which is Aries. And so it can happen in different aspects as well with other signs, but it really is about like a double like beaming of energy. So if it was through, say for example, you are a Leo sun and you have a moon in Leo, and you might have, I've met people that have like triples. They have like a rising Leo, a moon in Leo, a sun in Leo. With that, then automatically a lot of their chart will be all tied to the fifth house, which is about light. So it's about that person will walk into like a room that's cold and make it warm. This is a commanding energy. So it like maximum strength will be accelerated in astrology when it's doubled up in a house that matches it with other signs that work with it. So I have mentioned before I think it might have been one of my last videos, when it comes to people, I'm attracted to interesting people that have a lot of light. I bring a lot of light into the world from myself, and people that have a presence that are unafraid to be judged, people that are not interested in appeasing other people. These are light bringers. These are the ones on the front of the battlefield that are out there doing it. They're not in the shadows. They're not hiding who they are. They're not pretending. They're out there. This is me, and I've got a mission, and I'm doing my thing. That's all sun energy. When we look at people like that, and we would look at the degrees in their chart, in their sun sign, say we start with 00.00, we go all the way up to what we call an anaretic degree, which is up past 28, 29 degrees. That's a very, very strong degree. The stronger the degree of that planetary correlation and sign will mean it's doubled, like it's stronger. If it's in a very low degree, it's in a first degree. It's like a baby, like crying. When it gets up to the higher degree, that's like a wizard. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So in astrology, when we look at the sun, it is the central point, like I mentioned. So you will find people that may have sun placements. They'll always be the center of a relationship. They'll always be the center of a friendship. It's just naturally how their personality plays out in this world. They don't even mean to do it. It's just who they are. And if you've ever met a Leo, then in like telling a Leo to not be loud or to tell them to be quiet and shut up and go sit in the corner and don't take up much space and, wear clothes that hide you, how would that go for a Leo? It's not going to happen, okay? Because they're leaders. The sun is about leadership, all right? So it is connected to the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. It's sun. All right, so it charges things up. The sun is connected to monetary gain. And the sun is about not being seen as dishonorable. So when we look at shadows in astrology, in darker planets like Scorpio and Pluto, we're dealing with like hell. The sun is heaven. So it's about being bountiful. It's about rewards. And it's not interested in like people being dishonorable. Back in the old days, way back in the old days, the shame that you would bring your family if you were seen as a person that was dishonorable could be one of the worst offenses in your community that you could do. Because what it would make your family seen as dishonorable. Yeah, so it's a big thing, and so how we're seen by other people is very important. Especially these days, absolutely, it's so critical. Like, if I don't take care of myself and my projection is weak and I don't respect my body, which is what the sun represents, and I just get really, really fat and I'm lazy, I'm full of excuses, I can't brush my teeth, I can't comb my hair, I don't have pride in myself, well, I'm not going to translate to other people as someone that should be trusted. Because if you can't take care of yourself, why should someone believe that you could help take care of them? So spirituality in the forefront within astrology and within the occult is your body is your temple. We do not shit in our temple. We don't destroy our temple. We worship and honor ourselves and our temple. We put ourselves first. So if we can't take care of our own self and our own body, how the hell can we expect to take care of other things? So that's the sun, really me giving it to you straight. So I had a client once that said to me, I don't trust fat people. And I paused for a while and I thought, yeah, I can understand your point. It makes sense. And we can all have mental health problems, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, without our projection, we are nothing. And the sun is the fundamental aspect of the physical body in cosmology. So it's about self-love, self-healing yourself. It is a fiery energy. So the sun is an outward thing. It's not a receptive moon energy where it's all internal and feminine. So the sun in itself, its gender is masculine. Okay, in a lot of interpretations, it is understood that that is how it is seen. All right, so when we look at the sun, it does have an aspect to it which can take. There is an unbalancing energy as well, which can happen when someone is, what I mentioned at the start of this podcast, when they're unbalanced. They operate from a self-focused interest only, which would be like a narcissist. So narcissists always go where power is, and they'll always go with things that rule and govern other people. Like they'll get into politics, they'll get into becoming a lawyer, they'll get into becoming someone that works with a system that controls other people, that the system is the center point of the society. And that's an unbalanced sun sign. That's the dark sun. It doesn't give, it takes. It sucks the life out of things like a desert. Does that make sense? So that's the darker aspect. And I will do a video at some point talking about the dark sun, which is what they want to do now. It's what Bill Gates wants to do. They want to block out the sun on the planet to send us back into darkness and fuck up the planet. It's pretty shit. But yeah, I could talk about that in another podcast if you would like me to. But essentially in the sky, like you can't look directly at it, and we can't live only in our sun. That it's nice to have, to have a good projection. But if I just cared about my projection only and my own looks, I'm not developing my mind. That's why a lot of people that are very sun-based in their astrology, what I've often found with people that are very good looking, that live in that outer world of themselves, as they begin to age, they have complete meltdowns because they've based their whole life purely on their outer projection and their appearance. And when they get older, that begins to flee because they begin the natural process of aging. And so they hate that and they get really fucked up mentally because they valued their appearance beyond their soul. They valued their appearance beyond their knowledge or wisdom or self-development. So people with high sun sign degrees that are dark-sided have no understanding of the self. They just live purely in a picture reality of how things look rather than a light that's within shining out. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So yeah, where someone's focus is where their vitality will always be, because that's where they're interested in, whatever it is they're interested in. Okay. All right, so I hope all of this is making sense. I hope I'm not, I hope I'm you're enjoying this chat and it's not too much, but yes. So I did mention that the sun is the force that holds all of the elements together, summer, autumn, winter, and spring. And it is it's a direct force that is a luminary to the moon. That's why in astrology, a lot of Cancerian people, they only reflect things around them. So they're like a reflector. They don't generate energy. So one of the things that I've noticed when I myself have a lot of sun energy is a lot of people will come around me because they can't generate that energy that I have. They have to get around other things that give them energy. And that is exonerated when we see the moon, the lunar phases and things like that. It's Cancer, all right? So I hope that made sense. So when the sun is at its full strength, it's like the middle of the day is when the sun is most powerful, of course. Also in astrology, I have noticed, and I share this with my clients a lot, is have you ever noticed that when your sun sign, when you're in the month of the sun sign that you were born in, that's when things should be most strongest for you. If things are going wrong around your birthday, you probably need to have a little chat with me so we can look at what's going on there. Because every year when it comes around to November, at the end of November, that is when I am granted more power as a human. My train of thought is stronger, my physical body is radiating, my attraction, my power is at its strongest force. When in the planetary wheel, I'm in a year cycle, a lunar cycle, so there's 12 lunar cycles to a year, but in the year, when I'm in a state of winter that's as far away from the sun as possible within my chart, my own astrological chart, it's when I feel the most weakest, the most depressed, the most lowest. All right. So the sun is connected to the form of a bird, if you don't know, and it is connected to the eyes. So the sun is connected specifically to the right eye of a male, and it is connected to the left eye of a female. The sun rules the bones and the marrow within your bone as well. That's why a lot of Leos will often have bone marrow problems. I have noticed a lot of Leos have lymphomas or levels of bone cancers which can form in the body. And the chakra that's in that body that's tied to that is the solar chakra. The solar chakra rules Leo. So I've mentioned that before in previous videos, and also in the heart as well with the Leos, because Leos rule the heart and the bones. So you can look at all this, or I can look at your chart and explain it to you. Sometimes I do like to look at sidereal zodiac aspects as well. I think it's important to keep an open mind when it comes to looking at astrology. I do follow more of a Placidus system in the Western astrology because it's got more depth to it, to me, like the houses and how they all play out. But everyone, chooses whatever works best for them. All right. There are actually constellations inside of you from head to toe, and the sun affects the physical body in certain ways. I have met people that have very yellow type honey colored eyes. And the beauty of a human's face is very proportionate. So the higher the degree within someone's sun sign of their astrological chart will amplify the physical appearance of the face and the eye of that person. So I'm a cusp Scorpio Sag. I have very scorpionic eyes, but my face is shaped like that of a Sagittarius. I've got a long face, square jaw, that type of thing. But yeah, I can look at a photo. I do face reading. So when I look at a face, I can see where different planets sit within the body. All right, whether your Venus sits on your face, whether the sun sits on your face, that type of thing. My sun sits very strongly on my face, but I'd have to look at your photo and look at your chart to do that. A lot of people that are born with strong sun placements will be born with white hair or hair that is curly as a kid as well, and they have a very strong, commanding presence, and they're very brave. They're very strong, they're steady, they get out there. So it's just part of their nature. Sun is leadership as well, and it's business management. So a lot of people that are naturally leaders have strong sun signs, which in whatever chart placement that will be, particularly in Aries, Leo, or the Sagittarius. Okay, so some people would say that the sun even has like enemies. Some would say that the moon, Mars, and Jupiter can be an enemy to the sun, and then Venus and Saturn as well. Mercury is usually neutral to the sun, but it's all tied in. I have to look at your chart. The color red and heat is always an environmental force within the sun and its nature. All right, so I could go on and on and on. Some people would say that the sun is also malefic, and I don't really agree with that. I don't think the sun is not evil, the sun is light. But anything that's overindulged in will become dangerous. Say if you eat too much of the same thing, that will cause you to die. So everything, like Libra knows, everything is balance-based. Living in one aspect of the self, focusing on too much of your outer world will distort or lower your inner world. Living too much in your inner world, like sometimes I can do, where I don't leave the house for long periods of time and I just do readings and make art, or I don't go out, that's not healthy either. So it's all about the balancing act of life. And so being aware of that is really important for us. All right. So I hope that made sense. But I wanted to give you an oversight of the sun and all of the things that it's connected to, because it is such a huge aspect of us, especially with people that live mostly within their, Maya, the physical world. But yeah, the sun's connected to the father, like your biological father, and the moon is your mother. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here. I hope all of this has made sense. And it's really interesting. I hope that you've enjoyed me sharing some knowledge about the sun. If you would like to book me for an astrological chart reading, please go ahead on my website and just do it now. I'm having 25% off my half-an-hour readings. So about the length that this video has gone for is the length of time that I will look at your chart and unpack it. So send in all of your questions and you will get me looking at your chart. I will tear it up. I'll look at every aspect I can within that time and just do that reading, conduct it, and get it to you so you can have that recording and come back to it as many times as you need to. All right? So I'm sending you lots and lots of love. And please find me on Instagram and share my videos with anyone that you feel would benefit from them. Thank you for listening to this recording of me. Bye, bye, bye.